Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551. And for this video, I'm going to be taking a look at gaming in 2022, and I'm going to be taking a look at both the good, the controversial, and the mix, and of course the bad though. And 2022 had some very interesting times with terms of gaming, ranging from games exploding and taking the world by storm, to basically one of the biggest acquisitions that we've been seeing so far and some of the rough roads ahead, to seeing a platform basically that pushes for cloud service kind of basically shut down for good though. So as I mentioned before, the video will be breaking down into both the good, the controversial, the mix, and the bad. And we'll start off first with part one, which will be the good though, and that has to do with the fact that basically we started to see a push for unionization in the gaming industry though. Now, we've seen pushes before with the stuff of what we saw with ZeniMax and everything like that, but we've also seen pushes with Activision Blizzard, and we started to see some of that during 2022. And honestly, I think that is a good thing, at least from my perspective though. Again, I like to look at it from a blue collar perspective, since I'm more of a blue collar person and all. So it's certainly nice to see like what ZeniMax and Activision Blizzard, for some of these employees to start pushing, or at least explore the possibility of unionization. And I think that any decision of unionization should and always be the employee's decision, no matter what. They should weigh the pros and cons to determine, do we want to go this direction or not. So it certainly is nice to see that, especially in an industry where you hear reports of ranging from crunch time to how some employees are being treated and all. The next thing we want to talk about is basically seeing Embracer Group was on a big shopping spree in 2022. They acquired some properties and studios, to even stuff like limited run games, but they also acquired Crystal Dynamic Eidos Montreal. This had to do with after Square Enix decided to sell off those studios, basically to focus on blockchains and NFTs and all that stuff. And some of it may be because of how the failure of the Marvel's Avenger game turned out. Many feel like they passed off Deus Ex for this and everything like that. But in either case though, Embracer Group definitely saw some positivity as they started to purchase some studios and all. Hopefully some of that purchases will pay off though, and we'll see what Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal wants to do and all. We have seen reports of surveys about like Soul Reaver and Legends of Kain, so who knows, maybe they'll see that will come to fruition at some point at all. The next thing I do want to talk about is Elden Ring, and boy, did that game like blew up in 2022. This game took the world by storm. A open world Souls-like game from the creators of the Dark Souls and Demon Souls games, to having one of the writers of the let's see, oh shoot, I forgot that. It's not Lord of the Rings. No, shoot, I forgot. Sorry if I got the name wrong. I may have just had like a brain for it at that point. But in either case, though, Elden Rings turned out to be actually a very good, but still difficult Souls-like game, since those games are what they are basically well known for in any ways. But basically, nevertheless, though, it really sort of like blew up out there in terms of basically in popularity, in terms of sales and all. And it certainly definitely got people's attention to, like From Software. We know that they're working on the next game, which will be the Armor Core game though. So certainly is very nice to see that game blow up. At the same time, we've also seen other games like, say, Persona 5 Royal do very well, getting a multi-platform release, Bayonetta 3, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, to even games like God of War Ragnarok, and of course Horizon Forbidden West, all doing very well. Maybe not blowing up in the way Elden Ring did, but definitely doing good in their own rights, nevertheless. Not to mention Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga as well though. The other thing we saw was Valve released though the Steam Deck, and while I'm not a PC person, I'm more of a console gamer rather than a PC gamer, though I never really got into gaming on PC. It seemed to have managed to do very well for Valve in a way, though, and hopefully we'll see, the Steam Deck sort of like see more like of it to be available to purchase rather than go online on it, though. The idea does seem to be interesting. The idea of you could take in your PC games and on the go and all, like an actual handheld and so forth, though. Obviously, though, over time we'll see how Valve handles basically the Steam Deck and all going forward, and maybe we'll see new versions of Steam Deck and all that, though. But in either way, though, obviously Valve has to be happy with the Steam Deck, though. And of course, last but not least, we also saw video games, movies and TV shows based off video games that did very well. Indeed, though, Sonic 2, the sequel to 2020's Sonic the Hedgehog, did very well at the box office, though. Obviously, Jim Carrey still knocks it out of the park as playing Dr. Robotnik / Eggman, though, but it still showed how it is possible to do a movie based off a video game and how to do it right and everything like that, though. To Cyberpunk Edgerunner releasing on Netflix, though, doing very well for that series, though. Not only that, it is believed that along with update 1.6 may have helped Cyberpunk 2077, which after got its reputation hit really hard following that game's release in 2020, though. So it's certainly that series along with 1.6 definitely helped save Cyberpunk 2077, though. It'll be very interesting to see what this means with the series going forward, though. Sadly, Edgerunner, at least according to Netflix and CD Projekt Red, is a one-off, which is a bit disappointed, though, because I would have liked to see a second season if that were to ever happen. But in either case, it shows that it is possible to do movies and TV shows based off of video games if done correctly, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 2, and this one will be the controversial / mix, though. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of this video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at what I consider the controversial and the mixed stories that came out that basically, there are certain ways you could look at it. You could either think it's somewhat bad, or it might be really bad, depending on how you want to look at it, though. The first one has to do with Aspyr, Aspri. Now, for those who are not familiar, this is a publisher that's known for, remastering old games and all, and kind of sort of updating them. They've done this with several Star Wars games, including The Force Unleashed and all. Originally, these folks were supposedly going to be working on the KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic remake, though. But supposedly, however, reports started to come out that they showed off basically what was supposed to be a vertical slice of the game, and then it was later reported that they have been removed from working on this project, and several of the lead people who worked on it were basically unexpectedly fired. And supposedly now the game is being currently, at least as far as we're aware of, being handled by Saber Interactive. Now, whether this game sees the light of day or not remains to be seen, but it was very interesting to hear how this game basically hear how it basically you would let's just say you would wanted to know exactly what happened with this game. What exactly did Sony and Disney and Lucasfilm solve that suddenly realized we cannot continue working with these developers, though, to be exact. So yeah, very disappointed to hear that the KOTOR remake, we won't be seeing that anytime soon, to be exact, though. We'll see what Saber Interactive does with that remake, though. Maybe they'll make it better, maybe they won't, but time will ultimately tell. The next one has to do with, and this one is, you could argue, controversial depending on your view, and that is the announcement of Microsoft trying to acquire Activision Blizzard for almost like $70 billion. Now, this was probably one of the biggest news stories at the time when this was announced last year, to be exact. The fact that Microsoft was going to buy the studio and all, though. And to me, when I heard about this, my reaction to this was kind of mixed to a certain extent, though. while on one hand, I was hoping this means that with Microsoft handling Activision Blizzard, they could clean up the mess that's been going on with Activision Blizzard in terms of the sexual harassment suits to how some of the employees are treated. But on the other hand, it did raise the questions about some of these tech companies getting too big, though, and the whole monopoly issue. Remember, Microsoft got into some controversies back in the 90s over Windows and the whole monopoly issue, though, and that's sort of the mixed view I've had with this, though. And while I'm not as hell-bent on the way the FTC is in terms of they want to block this deal, I still think that there is some level of controversy and some questions that still need to be asked in regards to this acquisition, though, such as how do employees feel about this deal, to be exact, both those who work at Microsoft and those who work at Activision Blizzard. How about the unions that represent some of these employees, though, that we've seen in Activision Blizzard and even in Microsoft? How do they feel about it? How do consumers feel about it, though? So there's definitely a lot of questions that need to be asked about this acquisition, though. And right now, it seems to be going through some hurdles as we speak, ranging from Sony basically doesn't want this deal to go through to the FTC basically coming off as being hell-bent and everything like that. So it's just really has been sort of a roller coaster. So it's sort of a controversial, in my view, a controversial decision for Microsoft to do, though. I still believe the deal will most likely go through. It's possible we might see some negotiations at some point, though. But yeah, definitely a somewhat mixed / controversial decision for Microsoft to make. The next thing is what we saw was basically a lot of these companies that try to push for NFTs and NFTs, blockchains, and even the metaverse. And well, let's just say consumers were not really sold on these ideas. As we know that a lot of these blockchains and NFTs and even the metaverse, though, I mean, with blockchains and NFTs, though, there's this whole issue ranging from environmental issues to the fact that you don't really own the thing, to be exact. There's no ownership or anything like that. I mean, someone could put up a picture and sell it as an NFT, and it's like you're just wasting money on something. Like, I could just type in Google and just type in like that picture. Like I think one of the most famous ones was Bored Ape or something like that. Like, if I wanted to get an actual picture of Bored Ape, I could just type it in on Google or Yahoo and just download a picture like that. There we go. I didn't have to spend money to buy it or anything like that. As far as the metaverse goes, I mean, yeah, I know that Mark Zuckerberg is really trying to sell us on this idea, but what we've seen so far has been not convincing at all. And not to mention also Square Enix trying to double down on NFTs and blockchain. So apparently companies were trying to push for NFTs and blockchains, but the metaverse, but a lot of consumers have been trying to sort of push back against it, and I really don't blame them for trying to push back against this, though. It maybe one day it will become the new norm, but right now we're not at that point, though. The next one, and this is pretty much two of them, though, that really showed world impact that even the gaming industry got hit by this, though. The first one had to do with the Supreme Court's ruling of Roe v. Wade, to the point that it had gaming companies sort of speak out about it to either protecting employees, you know, in terms of whether they want to get an abortion or anything like that. So to maybe the move to states that basically will protect their rights to get an abortion or not, though, to even the war in Ukraine, which also had a major impact on gaming as well, as this led to ranging from the folks at the Tetris company denouncing Russia's invasion of Ukraine, to having an impact on the developers of Stalker 2, which ranging from them, some serving in the Ukraine Defense Force, to others moving their game over to another studio to develop to get it done and finished, to even suspension of basically sales of video games in Russia over basically Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine. So basically certain events definitely got the gaming industry and some members speak out to, whether it's the Supreme Court ruling of Roe v. Wade to Russia's invasion of Ukraine and all. This also led to some games, and not to mention some games being delayed, like Stalker 2, which was supposed to come out last year, but due to what was going on in Ukraine, though, that got pushed. No one knows at the time when it will be out. It's aiming supposedly for this year, though, so hopefully it does come out this year, to be exact. The next thing, of course, is Bayonetta 3, which, while a good game in its own right, did also see some level of controversy, and that has to do with the original voice actor speaking out, supposedly claiming that she was not paid properly or anything like that. This kind of opened the door to the whole issue of how voice actors and actresses are being treated in terms of being paid, though. And while I do think it does bring up a debate about this, and it is an issue that needs to be addressed, it also led to controversy, as it turned out, when Helen Keller, if I say her name correctly, the original voice actor of Bayonetta, when a report came out from Jason Schreier and Bloomberg that seemed to indicate, well, wait a minute, she was not paid a bit more than what she is telling us. She then later tried to kind of rub it up, saying, I deny this, to I want to move on, to everything like that. So she kind of may have sort of basically blacklisted herself. To make matters worse, there were also reports that she was asking for people to not spend money on Bayonetta 3 and instead go spend it on what was essentially pro-life causes, which may have turned some folks off, to be exact, though. And I also would like to say that Platinum, putting aside Jason Schreier's story, this was before that broke, let's say Hideki Kamiya did not help the situation, as he kind of made the situation worse than it should have been, though. But either way, it didn't seem to have a huge impact on Bayonetta 3 or anything like that. But I will say, yeah, it did bring up the issue about how voice actors and actresses are being treated and all, but she heard her calls when it would turn out to be that she was offered more than what she originally claimed and everything like that. The next thing to talk about is basically EA and FIFA, and for most part, the soccer license outside of outside of Pro Evolution Soccer that Konami was known for, though, the FIFA license has always been handled by EA, though. But later, but in 2022, that isn't the case, as it looks like EA and FIFA are no longer partners, to be exact, though. What this means going forward is going to be very interesting for FIFA, to be exact. It'll be interesting to see what other developers they seek and all, and it will also be interesting to see what EA does with EA does going forward now that they don't have the FIFA license, to be exact, though. So to see this partnership kind of end is kind of interesting and all, to be exact. And last but not least, though, the Super Mario Brothers movie that will be out this year, though, originally was supposed to come out last year in 2022, but got delayed, though. While there was no specific reason why it did not come out in 2022, some kind of speculated that the success of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 may have put some pressure on Nintendo and Illumination, and that might be true, to be exact, though. But in either case, though, whatever the case may be, the movie did not hit its 2022 mark. It was originally supposed to come out in April 2022. Now it's going to come out, I believe, in April 2023. But in either case, though, they showed off the latest trailer, and of course, the latest trailer definitely looks great and all. I'm still mixed with the idea of Chris Pratt voicing Mario, but I've gotten used to it, though, and I'm not losing absolute sleep over it, though. But based on what they've shown so far, I am definitely looking forward to the Mario movie in 2023. It is a little bit unfortunate it got delayed in 2022. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our third and final part, and this one has to do with part 3, which will be the bad. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our third and final part, and this one's going to be looking at the bad, the things that, well, didn't exactly go as well as either some companies or some folks had hoped for, to be exact, though. The first one, and this one probably is going to be obvious, it has to be with Google Stadia shutting down for good. This month, pretty much, it was the server shut off, basically. This was basically Google's attempt entering the gaming market with their push for cloud gaming and all. And while the concept wasn't necessarily bad and all, its execution certainly was, and Google did not really do a good job with the execution. And some of that has to do with Google's reputation, including the Google graveyard, which is known for stuff that really, they abandon very quickly, to some of their questionable decisions, such as not allowing single-player games to be on the platform, or saying they don't want to fund single-player games because people don't play them, which is an idiotic decision, to be exact, though, to various reasons, from messaging to Google not letting the Stadia team try to do what they can, which is basically or at least try to do the best they could, which some people felt they kind of Google may have held the Stadia team back and all. And some of the reputation of the CEO, the head of it, Phil Harrison, and his way of handling a lot of the situation, it's really a shame, because the idea behind Stadia isn't necessarily bad. The concept isn't, but there were certainly a lot of questions, ranging from buying the games to basically the whole subscription, the way they were handling it, though. I mean, compare that to like NVIDIA GeForce Now and basically Xbox Cloud Gaming, which seems to fare, I would say, better than what happened with Stadia, though. So very unfortunate what happened, though, but at least they were able to give refunds for those who purchased stuff on Google Stadia. It's really a shame, because the idea was it was there, it just was not executed as very well. The next one has to do with the Saints Row reboot, which unfortunately did not sit very well with everyone, though. So it was kind of interesting when they announced that they were going to be rebooting the Saints Row series and all, which is kind of interesting, because I thought they originally would do something like a Saints Row 5 and all, but apparently they decided to do this reboot. And, well, let's just say when it came to communications about the reboot, did not exactly sit well with fans altogether, to be exact, though, and what was being shown and all didn't exactly sit very well with everyone. And when the game finally came out, there were issues of bugs and glitches, stuff that a lot of people pointing out, and didn't exactly sit very well with everyone, though. The game supposedly did okay to some extent, but Embracer Group would later announce it did not meet the expectations they had set up. The game, although they did say the game is financially okay, but unfortunately this led to the Saints Row reboot eventually led to Voltron, the original developers of it, being absorbed or being handed over to Gearbox Software, which is part of Embracer Groups, to be exact, though. So it does seem like it's unclear what this means for the Saints Row series going forward. Perhaps maybe someone will get a shot, but maybe we'll see an actual Saints Row 5 or anything like that. But in either case, it looks like the Saints Row reboot did not exactly sit very well with everyone out there. The next thing has to do with the Xbox in terms of 2022. Now, outside of Pentiment, though, I would say Xbox in 2022 wasn't exactly great, to be exact, though. It was extremely, extremely light. I'm talking about almost like close to the situation Nintendo faced with the Wii U and all, though. Now, I won't go as far as saying the Xbox Series X and S were failures in any way. They were not. I mean, they did very well, to be exact, though. Pentiment turned out to be a very unique and interesting game, but that came out basically almost near the end of 2022. Two of the titles that were supposed to come out in 2022, like Redfall and Starfield, got pushed back and pushed out of 2022. We now know Redfall will come out in May 2nd of this year, and we also know that Starfield supposedly is aiming for the first half of 2023, but no one knows for certain if that is going to be the case. There's also speculation that one of the reasons the game got delayed was there was worried about the possibility of it turning into another Cyberpunk 2077 type of a situation. So yeah, I would say 2022 wasn't exactly great for Xbox, though. I won't say it was terrible, but certainly not great. Hopefully 2023 will be better for Xbox, though. We know they had recently had their Xbox Developers Direct, and that certainly got a lot of positive response and certainly got Microsoft off to a good start in terms of 2023. How 2023 will play out, though, that remains to be seen, but it's obviously, as far as 2022 go, wasn't exactly great for basically Xbox, at least in my view, in general. And last but not least was the supposed return of G4 TV, but it no longer is existed. Basically, before YouTube, I think there was G4 TV, which was like basically, a video game network and all to see all the latest, news and everything about that in terms of gaming. I never really watched it though. I usually just read about it or something like that though. So it was kind of interesting for them to bring back G4 TV, but apparently it was no more last year as they shut it down though. There have been various reasons for some of the hosts, like insulting people, to management, to a lot of reasons though. Plus, in this day and age, with YouTube becoming popular, and of course with Twitch as well, some folks will get their source gaming information from other sources, not a network like G4 TV. So yeah, a little bit unfortunate to hear about it though. You could say it's a relic of the past, and that is the case though. So yeah, a bit unfortunate what happened to G4 TV though, especially with anybody who tried to work hard on it to try to make it a success and everything like that. So yeah, not great for G4 TV, and of course G4 TV is of course no more though. Okay, this concludes this video on my look at gaming in 2022, the good, the controversial, mix, and the bad. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about gaming in 2022? Do you think there were certain positive things that you thought was good? Do you think there was stuff that you felt was controversial or mixed, or do you felt was like bad for gaming in 2022 though? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think, and if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I will appreciate it, and I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!